Hello, YouTube family. What's good? So, popping back in because I haven't done a tutorial of sorts in a while, and so this is going to be that one. So, I am over 80% done with my hair, 90% done with my hair. I have 12 locks left, and these are lock knots. All you need to complete this style are a couple of these just to kind of pull your hair away. This I actually made my own rose water. We'll talk about that as I go through, and some rubber bands. Okay, so like I said, this because pull the hair out the way. So this style, because I have way more hair than I did my last set, has taken me, let's see, almost an hour. But I've also been multitasking, doing other things. So if I were not like 100% doing other stuff, if I were just focusing on this, I don't think it would have taken like an hour and a half. And depending on how thick your locks are, it might not take you as long as well. Anyway, let's get to the work. So you just take a lock, like so. Take your finger, and wrap your lock around it. So see how my finger is pulled through. And then I'm going to take the rest of the lock and wrap it around. All right. So from here, take your finger out, rubber band, secures it right at where the hair would be coming loose. So you wrap it around, you're going to get to a point where there's like a little part of your lock that's kind of coming out a little bit. You're going to take that, fold it in, take your rubber band, wrap it around, and secure the end. And voila, just like that, a lock knot. So let's talk about the rose water. So rose water is something that I actually do still use on my hair, and I forgot to mention that in a prior video. But it was so damn expensive. So my boo got me some roses, and I, of course, went on Pinterest and was like, well, how do I make my own rose water? And you guys, it's mad easy. So legitimately, you just take the rose petals, pull them off, you put them into water, you boil them, and voila, rose water. Now I know that you're like, oh, that is just, yes, elementary, my love. And on top of that, most rose water will run you like $7 or $8. Now for some people, it's like, it's not that big of a deal. But for me, I'm just kind of like, the container isn't even that big. So you will pay like $7 or $8 for something. And if you moisturize your hair regularly, like if you moisturize your hair every other day, if you moisturize your hair daily, if you spray water on your hair daily, you're going to go through that quick. So I literally took some roses and I was able to make 2 containers of this. This is what's considered a travel size bottle. It's 12 ounces. So 24 ounces of rose water that I was able to produce from like probably 7 roses that I pulled the petals off of and boiled. So take that with you and do that with that what you will. But if you happen to not be able to find rose water, it really is as simple as just taking some petals and boiling them. Also, if you're not a big person into like artificial stuff being on your hair or stuff like that, as much as we can help it, right? Then making some rose water will probably be an amazing alternative for you because you don't have any of the artificial scents and stuff like that and perfumes that they put in there, and the water still smells really good. How often do I spray my own hair? Because I know I get asked this pretty regularly. Every other day, it just depends. My hair is almost always damp, and I know how that sounds, but like with me sweating so much, like I'm almost always like patting my hair dry and like going through those processes. So I don't need to do it as much. But when my hair is styled, like for example, with my hair being pulled up like this, I will 100% be spraying my hair probably every 3 days, 2 to 3 days. Right, so there we are, almost done. Now, one thing I have always talked about in my videos, if you go back and clock the kid, you will see this to be true. I am a super huge believer in tasks, or excuse me, in styles that allow us to get like a variety of uses out of them, right? So I love pipe cleaner curls because with pipe cleaner curls, the pipe cleaner curls actually serve as a style, and then the curls serve as a style, and then your hair, because depending on how long you leave it up, I am one of those leave my pipe cleaner curls up for like 2 or 3 weeks per people. Yeah, is it people or kind of person? I guess it just depends how you say it. So for me personally, like 3 weeks minimum, 3 weeks minimum is what I would consider an acceptable amount of time. There we go. For me to leave up some pipe cleaners, and they last forever, you guys. Like, I cannot emphasize that enough. Some things for people who are wanting to consider thick locks. One, I would always advise finding a style that does a variety of things. So like I said, you want to find a style that will serve us a couple of ways. Mostly because thick locks take a super long time to dry, right? And my locks are way smaller than they have been in the past, and they still take forever to dry. So one thing I know to be true is when they were thicker, my hair was just like, it was just, and I hate the dryer. So I know somebody's like, well, why don't I sit on the dryer tie? Yes, you could sit on the dryer, and that's probably a feasible option. And depending on like what the style was and when I needed my hair to look a certain way, I probably would. But I hate the dryer as much as possible. So I'm a big believer of trying to get it done a couple of ways. So if I put something that requires to be styled, sit in the dryer, maybe for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, because yes, it takes that long. And then maybe trying to let my hair dry overnight for the rest of it. That's just an option as well. But that's just something to think about with locks, because there's nothing worse than putting a style in and then taking it out preemptively before your curls have set or before your hair is really dry. Because then you just have a bunch of pieces of hair that look super straight, and then you'll have some pieces that look super curly. And so, you know, if you're going for curls, then you want to go for curls. I will spin at the end so you guys can see the entirety of my hair. Let's see, down to the last 3. Yeah, the rose water piece, like I said, definitely something that is very common sense, and I don't know why I hadn't even thought about that in the past, because it's kind of just like, it's rose water. It's water from roses. Like, I don't know. I guess I was not cognitive in that way. I wasn't consciously processing it like that, but nonetheless, here we are. Let's see. Now, there are some people who, I had to think about it. There are some people who tend to work with their hair while it's wet. This was kind of one of those impromptu things for me. You really could work with your hair either way, but that's totally a preferential thing, because I have also seen some people swear off working with your hair when it's dry, being like, I will not work with my hair. I will not work with your hair when it's dry. But if you're someone who, for example, uses the crochet method with your locks, then you work with your hair dry. So the one thing that I would always emphasize no matter what is that you have to wet your hair though. Like, if you want your curls to set, you have to wet your hair. Like, now it don't matter if you start with your hair wet or if you do like I'm doing and you work with your hair while it's dry and then spritz it afterwards. Both of those things are still efficient, but you gotta wet your hair or else your curls will not set. And I mean, it just depends on what you're looking for. But 3 sets of locks in, this being my 3rd set, one thing I have learned is a thing or two about making sure some curls stay. And that one thing that I have learned, like I said, is don't expect them curls to stay if you don't wet it. And don't expect them curls to stay if you don't leave them up there long enough. And the thicker your hair is, the longer you need for your hair to dry. The thicker your hair is, the longer you're going to need for your hair to dry. Boom, there we go. So let's spin. Ooh. Okay. Front. Side. Back. Side. Serving you African diaspora realness. And so, let me just. Now, I am not a huge fan of sopping wet hair, but never mind. I'm not a fan of sopping wet hair, but if you don't have a spray bottle, and you can get this from like the dollar store, but if you don't have a spray bottle, you could always just like do your hair and then hop in the shower, run your hair under the shower head, run your hair under the sink, whatever you prefer, and then do it that way as well. Multiple options. So like I said, this style is going to be a 2-part style. I'm going to wear my hair like this for probably 2 weeks. I have something coming up on the 24th. So I'll probably try to keep my hair up until like right before then. And then I'll take it out, because what I also know is that leaving it up that long, my curls are going to be super, super tight. I'm never normally a fan of super, super tight curls. So that's another piece of it. Wearing your hair for a week, if you're someone who does not like intensely work out or do some type of job that makes you sweat a lot, then your hair was 100% likely going to be dry in a week. Like, right? That's multiple hours. If your hair is kind of moderate to thick, then your curls are going to be tight. So if you don't want that super, super curly look, tight look, but you have an event or something, you want to make sure you take them down, let your hair fall a little bit. Because one thing I've also learned with like my pipe cleaner curls is the reason why they last so long is because they take forever to fall, which is perfect for me. However, if you don't want a super tight curl, then you don't want that. If you don't care because you're like, this style, I'm gonna wear it for a couple weeks anyway, then go forth and be great. I'm feeling good. I've got 2 in one day. If you're new to my channel, hey boo, hey! Thank you for dropping in. Come on, Ty. Thank you for dropping in, and for tuning in. Please like and subscribe in the box below so that you can get updates when I post them. If you have been hanging with my channel all along, that means with Loc Set 2, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I've definitely transitioned quite a few times with my locks and the way I feel about my hair. So thank you for tuning in and kind of riding the roller coaster with me a little bit. And wishing you nothing but love and light to you and yours. Bye.